When it comes to reviewing content, there are many things to consider. Performance issues, platform standards, and especially exposure. You can't just play an RPG for 2 hours and know enough to review the whole thing. What if performance issues don't show up right away? What if they don't show up until the very end? Our next review for the 10th anniversary is something that taught me that very lesson. A PS1 classic release that was available for not only the Vita and PlayStation TV, but PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Portable. Here is my review of Chrono Trigger. With story, this is a game about Chrono, a young boy that attends the Millennium Fair with a blonde stranger. But something goes wrong when he goes into a teleporter minigame at the fair, ending up getting sent into the past, future, and more. Discovering that in his own future, the world will be destroyed by a monster known as Lavos. With friends from different time periods at his side, they embark on a journey to prevent this apocalypse from happening by figuring out how to defeat the monster and save their world. Now, the plot of this game is really good. It's not super in-depth with its character development, but there are a lot of interesting arcs for each of the characters involved, from the futuristic machine known as Robo to the ancient cave woman Isla. Plus, there's always something ramping up to keep the plot interesting as you go on your journey. When it comes to gameplay, Chrono Trigger is a turn-based RPG with time travel elements. As you play, you'll explore the same world but in different eras, with towns, dungeons, and lots of enemies to fight in turn-based combat. Being the PlayStation Network's PS1 Classics release, this is based off of the PS1 version of Chrono Trigger, sort of emulated to work on the PlayStation Portable, Vita, 3, and TV. As such, we have the PlayStation enhancements like the anime cutscene FMVs for many character introductions, as well as an extras feature on the main menu allowing you to look at the endings that you've achieved. Now, main progression is pretty much like any other Super Nintendo era RPG from Squaresoft. You travel an overworld and are pointed to dungeons and towns by the story. You can purchase items and equipment in towns, and you fight enemies and bosses in the dungeons. Pretty basic RPG stuff. The biggest differences in why Trigger is so beloved are the time travel elements and the way battles work. Trigger allows you to visit different time periods of the same basic world and area, essentially turning the same locales into different dungeons that sometimes appear the same but often completely different. After all, if we think about the towns that we live in, they look very different 65 million years ago and will likely also be far different in the future. This is also a big game of choice. Once you're about 5 hours into the game, you're thrown into a bit of a time hub, allowing you to go to any era you've unlocked as you go through the story, but also have the option of going straight into the final boss fight. Trigger has 12 different endings, all dependent on when you fight and defeat or don't defeat Lavos. You can go through as much of the story as you want before you decide to go into that fight. Even in New Game Plus, you can tackle him at literally the first part of the game when you're still at the Millennium Fair. The other unique thing about this game is the combat system, though it might not seem as unique anymore considering how many RPGs, large and small, have tried to mimic and recreate the Chrono Trigger battle system. It features the same active time mechanic as Square's Final Fantasy titles, but adds character and enemy placement into the mix. Enemies can move around as they fight you, jumbling into a group or spreading out. There are a lot of area-based attacks, so you can set things up depending on where the enemies are located. There are also a lot of multi-character attacks that feel pretty interesting. As characters fight together, they learn combo moves, like Chrono combining his spinning sword attack with others to create spinning fire attacks or an AoE healing technique. It becomes really satisfying when you get some of the crazier stuff and enemies that were repetitive suddenly get nuked by a combo attack. And that's pretty much the gameplay loop. I find it a lot of fun, and it really isn't grindy when it comes to leveling up. Just don't skip too many battles and pretty much the entire game is doable as long as you're not trying the crazy hard endings. That also brings us to content and length. This is a pretty typical 20 to 25 hour RPG. You get a good amount of time with it, especially considering this PSN release was only $10 on launch day back in 2011. Now we get to presentation, which is the make or break part of this game. PlayStation ports of Squaresoft RPGs were often not optimized that well for the platform, and this re-release doesn't really fix anything about it. It's not unplayable, but it does have some issues, namely load times. Loading on the Super Nintendo was pretty much non-existent, but with this version you'll be waiting about 5 seconds to load the character menu, 5 seconds to go from area to area, 5 seconds to wait for battles to start, and when you're going out of all of that stuff. And when going into battle, it just looks like the game freezes up for several seconds and then eventually lets you start the battle and fight enemies. Now, I don't view this as a gigantic issue, but at the same time, this is the only way I've played this game. But what I do have an issue with is the fact that this version of Trigger has a major slowdown and frame rate problem, but not until you reach the final boss. It doesn't matter what era you choose to fight Lavos in, the first fight is easily half speed or less in its entirety. This makes an already long final battle painfully lengthy. I was never bothered by the normal loading times for battles, but this slowdown was pretty crazy. Now before we conclude, why did I choose this to be in the 10th anniversary throwback series? It's simply what we just talked about. That slowdown in the final boss fight with Lavos. When I played this for the first time, it taught me to always try to at least finish the main story of any game I play to review, because you don't know if you're going to run into some ridiculous performance issue right at the end. And this is a lesson that I feel has made me put more effort into the games I cover. Now, do all reviewers go through entire games before covering them? No. I think most reviewers don't even get close to the end before making their reviews for the sake of getting it out there on day one. And for those of you that ask why my reviews are late and don't come out on launch day, that's why. Even when I get early review codes, I seldom get through the entire game by release day. And funny enough, this also started a reputation for this series having performance issues on handhelds. From this to how Chrono was at launch for the Switch and PS5. Though thankfully the latter has been patched this year and now runs at a buttery smooth 60 FPS even on the Switch. In conclusion, Chrono Trigger's PSN release brought the legendary RPG to PlayStation handhelds, and a few years later, the sequel as well. Now the downside, the game's brought down by the loading times, borderline freezing when going in and out of battles, and the crazy slowdown and frame drops during the Lavos boss fight. But there's still a fantastic RPG beneath those issues, and if you could weather it or didn't have a Nintendo DS to play that version, was still a blast to play through both on the Vita and PlayStation TV. PS Vita Reviews rates Chrono Trigger a 7 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.